Major school of thought in psychology. So in this video I'm going to talk about major school of thought in psychology. So first of all, when psychology first emerged as a science separate from biology and philosophy, the debate over how to describe and explain the human mind and behavior began. So first, in previous centuries, it was thought that the psychology is the branch of biology and philosophy, but with the passage of time, the scientists believe that uh, psychology is something different, and they separate it from the biology and philosophy. The different schools of psychology represent the major theories within psychology. So different schools of psychology also show that the major and main theories of psychology. So the first school of thought, structuralism, was advocated by the founder of the first psychology lab, William Wondert. He is also known as the father of psychology. He developed a lab in Leipzig, Germany, and he uh, uh, gave first school of thought, which is known as structuralism. In structuralism, we saw the main thing is brain structure. Almost immediately, other theories began to emerge and vie for dominance in psychology. With passage of time, all other theories also emerge. Also, different scientists give different school of thoughts. So, in the past, psychologists often identified themselves exclusively with one single school of thought. But at the time of William Wondert, people only think psychology has only one school of thought, which is structuralism, given by William Wondert. Today, most psychologists have an eclectic outlook on psychology. Mm, Today, most psychologists' perspective had changed, so they have outlook differently now. Psychology, they often draw on ideas and theories from different schools rather than holding to any singular perspective. Now, psychologists or psychiatrists organize or derive their ideas after studying different schools of thoughts of psychology. They do not draw any conclusion from one school or himself. The following are some of the major schools of thought that have influenced our knowledge and understanding of psychology. There are some school of thoughts which influence, first of all, structuralism and functionalism. There are two school of thoughts of psychology. One, structuralism, was given by William Wondert and Edwin Tincher. Then functionalism was given by William James. So first two schools of thoughts in psychology. Structuralism is widely regarded as the first school of thought in psychology. So structuralism is first ever thought school of thought in psychology given by William Wondert and Edwin Tincher. This outlook focused on breaking down mental processes into most basic components. So, this school of thought focus on how to structure, organize mental mind. Mind structures break into different pieces and study it. Major thinkers associated with structuralism include Wilhelm Wondert and Edmund Titchener. So, two main scientists, main psychologists, those are attached, those developed this school of thought are William Wondert and Edwin Tincher. The focus of structuralism was on reducing mental processes down into their most basic element. So, the main purpose of this school or main goal of this school was to reduce whole mental into small pieces into basic elements and study them. The structuralists used techniques such as introspection to analyze the inner process of the human mind. So, they basically used a technique which is called introspection, means self organized, self analyzing technique to process on mental processes, human mental processes. Second one is functionalism. Functionalism formed as a reaction to the theories of the structuralist school of thought and was heavily influenced by the work of William James. So, functionalism was influenced by the William James. William James was a psychologist. He formed as a reaction to the theories of the structuralist school of thought. So, he studied structuralism, then he gave functionalism. He thought structuralism not a good school of thought or completely define a person mind, so he developed functionalism. Unlike some of the other well-known school of thought in psychology, functionalism is not associated with a single dominant theorist. So in functionalism there is not only one single theorist. Another David Hart Herschel notes, however, that some historians even question whether functionalism should be considered a formal school of psychology at all, given its lack of a central leader or formalized set of ideas. So, yeah, one author, David Hostel, notes said that some historian question functionalism is a formal school of psychology or it don't had any formalized teacher leader. Instead of focusing on the mental processes themselves, functionalist thinkers were instead interested in the role that these processes play. So, focus beside focus on the mental process themselves, functionalists also interested role play in processes. In functionalism, basically, we deal with the functions of mind. Gestalt psychology is a school of psychology based upon the idea that we experience things as unified wholes. So, in Gestalt psychology, we consider things as a whole, not its part or one thing. This approach to psychology began in Germany and Austria during the late 19th century in response to the molecular approach of structuralism. So, basically it is developed to achieve or approach molecular structure approach of structuralism. This is also developed in Germany and Austria in late 19th century. Instead of breaking down thoughts and behavior to their smallest element, the Gestalt psychologists believe that you must look at the whole of experience. So in contrast to structuralism, they believe that don't need to break down mental into small elements. B- Beside, you have to must look whole experience, how whole mental experience thinks. According to the Gestalt thinkers, the whole greater than the sum of its parts. They believe that whole body is greater than its part. Number four is behaviorism. Behaviorism became our dominant school of thought during the 1950s. In 1950s, it became very popular and dominant school of thought. It was based upon the work of thinkers as so main thinkers who developed this school of thought is John B. Watson, Ivan Paul, B. F. Skinner. These three play important role in developing behaviorism school of thought in psychology. Behaviorism suggests that all behavior can be explained by environmental causes rather than by internal forces. So they believe that all the behavior of a organism is explained by environmental causes. Not every behavior comes from internal forces. Some behavior depend upon external environment. Behaviorism is focused on observable behavior. So they concern with observe those things which we can observe or see. Theories of learning, including classical conditioning and operant conditioning, were the focus of a great deal of research. So, Ivan Paul and B.F. Skinner both were performing classical conditioning and operant conditioning. So, theories of operant and classical conditioning. The behavior school of psychology had a significant influence on the course of psychology, and many of the ideas and techniques that emerged from this school of thought are still widely used today. So, behaviorism was very important school of thought till now. Even in now, people use many theories that developed by behaviorism scientists, like classical conditioning, operant conditioning. Today scientists are applied on and small animals like rats, cats. Behavior techniques still frequently used in psychotherapy and behavior modification programs are, so these are also used to pure diagnose people's health, and also help in therapies. Behavior training people give psychiatrists, psychologists give behavior training to control behavior of oneself. Token economies, aversion therapy, and other techniques are used behaviorists to develop people and to understand and to control their behavior. Next one is psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis is a school of psychology founded by Sigmund Freud. So psychoanalysis is very popular. It's one of very popular school of psychology that was given by Sigmund Freud. This school of thought emphasized the influence of the unconscious mind on behavior. So he also gave a theory. He according to Sigmund Freud, he focuses on unconscious mind, not conscious or subconscious, unconscious mind. He focuses on unconscious mind. He believed that there are three components composed of three elements. Mind is the id, the ego, and the superego. The id the id consists of primal urge, while the ego is the component of personality charged with dealing with reality. So id is basic urge of the ego. Id is primal I. Id is primary, while the ego is the component of personality. Ego is a component part of personality which helps to charge with the reality, dealing with reality, while the superego is the part of personality that holds all of the ideals and values we internalize from our parents and culture. So superego is also reactions that holds, that part of personality holds all the ideals and values that we get from our parents and cultures. Freud believed that the interaction of these three elements was what led to all of the complex human behavior. It, ego, superego, all these three elements run a people behavior or create behavior in people. Freud's school of thought was enormously influential but also generated considerable debate. It is very popular, very influential school, but it also generated some debate. This controversy exists only not only in his time but also in modern discussions of Freud theories over other major psychoanalytical thinkers include. So this theory also debate after his death. Anna Freud, Carl Jung, and Erik Erikson also developed this. Next one is humanistic psychology. Humanistic psychology developed as a response of psychoanalysis and behaviorism. So it is after the psychoanalysis and behaviorism. Humanistic psychology instead focuses on individual free will, personal growth, and the concept of self-actualization. Humanistic focus on individual free will. It believe individual is important. According to humanistic psychologists, individual is individual is priority. His self-actualization is important. While early school of thoughts were primarily centered on abnormal human behavior, humanistic psychology differed considerably in its emphasis on helping people achieve and fulfill their potential. So, it is according to humanistic psychologists, human self-satisfaction is important. So they emphasize on the human actualization, self-actualization. Major humanist thinker are Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. Abraham Maslow also gave a theory of hierarchy in which self-actualization is last part. So Carl Rogers, humanistic psychologists remain quite popular today and has had a significant influence on other areas of psychology, including positive psychology. So they are quite popular today. Also, they influence other areas of psychology like positive psychology. This particular branch of psychology is centered on helping people living happier, more fulfilling lives. So humanistic psychology helps people to fulfill their dreams, to fulfill their satisfy themselves, also help them to make them happier. Next one is cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology is the school of psychology that studies mental processes, including how people think, perceive, remember, and learn. So it is cognitive mean intellectual intelligence. So it is deal with human minds, how they think, how they work, how they perform, how they learn, remember. As part of the larger field of cognitive science, this branch of psychology is related to other disciplines including neuroscience, philosophy, and linguistics. So its main concern is with that processes which are passed through mental or which learn from the mental side. So it's also concerned with neuroscience and philosophy and linguistics. Cognitive psychology began to emerge during the 1950s, partly as a response to behaviorism. It is also a response to behaviorism. Critics of behaviorism noted that it failed to account for how internal processes impact behavior. So, because of internal, because of because of critics, criticizers or critical thinkers believe that behaviorism failed to develop, some failed to account for how internal processes impact behavior, so they developed cognitive. This period is sometimes referred as the cognitive revolution, as a wealth of research on topics such as information processing, language, memory, and perception began to emerge. In this period, also known as when those periods when cognitive psychology had developed, that time believed that it is cognitive revolution. So they people mostly talk about language, memory, and perception. Out of the most influential theories, this school of thought was the stage of cognitive development theory proposed by Jean Piaget. So cognitive psychology, the most more important role play Jean Piaget to develop some theories in cognitive psychology. That's all. Thank you for watching, listening. Subscribe my channel.